Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our Ask the Roofer video series. I wanted to share a little bit today about our hiring process, how we got started, the struggles we went through. I've had a few people ask about it. We talked about firing people already, so I figured we might as well talk about hiring people. So a quick history of Daniel Enterprises. When I started back in the early days, it was just me, and I had some roommates, some friends that would help out from time to time as I needed them. So I never really hired somebody or had to fire them up through those early years, because we'd have a job come up and I'd call my buddies, be like, hey, I got this, need an extra set of hands, I can pay you this much for this much time. They'd say yes or no, we'd go do the work, done deal. So I didn't really have to hire full-time people until several years in. So when we made the move to Charlotte, we had guys from Greensboro that were like, hey, we're gonna move down with you, we're gonna relocate, help start things off down there. 3-4 weeks before we were gonna make the move, they kind of bailed. So in that short period of time, I had to find and hire a whole new group of people local to the Charlotte area. So put out ads, Craigslist, Facebook, wherever, trying to find people, and never having hired someone before, I had to figure out, what's my criteria. So I'm like, all right, I gotta like you on the phone, you gotta sound intelligent, you gotta know what you're talking about when I ask you about, certain industry terminology. And then you gotta have tools, the skills to do the job, and got to be able to get there. So I didn't realize how many people that last one would count out. So I put out ads, talked to dozens and dozens of people, set a bunch of them up to start. A lot of them didn't show up. A lot of them started and weren't what they said they were. So very quickly I realized that another big thing was honesty, that we had to set as a criteria, because people that, yeah, I got no problem getting there in the first day. Hey, I had to have somebody drop me off and they're running late, so I'll be a few minutes late, but don't worry about it. I'll work more than everybody else and make up the time, and it just doesn't work like that. So the honesty part became a big deal. And then we'd have some guys talk about, hey, I've done this before, I've done it this many years, I can do, they'd always talk about the extremes. Oh, I could be, 12 pitch, 3 stories up in the air, lay 6 square in a day. And it was always the people that had no clue what they're doing that had these stories of grandeur. So we'd get on the job and very quickly be able to see that, hey, they don't know how to set their lines, they don't know where the nails go in the shingles, which is kind of a big deal. They don't know the patterns, they don't know how to do flashing. So that honesty and skill set parts became 2 of my top priorities and criteria in hiring people. Very close behind that was the ability to show up, because as I mentioned, we hired many people and they're like, we'll be there, and then they couldn't show up, or they're coming a couple hours late and pretending like it wasn't a big deal. So I started listing out, hey, you need to meet these criteria. The next big thing I noticed was work ethic. We would get certain guys in that would only work in like the easy parts of the roof, and very strategically wait a few more moments to start laying shingle, because that guy's going to start and he's going to end up in the difficult spot. If I wait 2 minutes and start right behind him, then I'll clear it and be working in the easy areas. So when you have multiple people like that trying to work, then nothing gets done, because everybody's working harder to avoid the hard work than they are to get the job done. So work ethic became a very big thing. Some of the guys would come in, think themselves above certain parts of the job, like, oh, well, I don't carry shingles because I'm a shingle layer. It's like, okay, we all carry shingles, so if I'm the owner carrying them, then you can carry a bundle. It's not a big deal. So this started formulating the criteria by which I hired and kept people, and I started asking better questions around that. And in that first 18 months or so, we went through over 200 people to find 12 good ones. We'd have some stay for a couple of hours, Some stay for a couple of days, some stay for a couple of weeks. Had some people that shouldn't have stay for a couple months, but I realized a little bit too late the issues they were creating. So the last big thing, the ability to show up. I mean, if they can't show up, they don't have the job to begin with. Having the skill set, being honest about their skill set, and being honest in general, and a work ethic to get the work done, top 4. And then very close behind that came attitude, because I started noticing we'd have a great guy or great worker, showed up on time, had all his tools, had the skills, but had a horrible attitude, and it would slow the entire job down. And it was infectious. Like, they would start complaining about this thing over here, and so everybody else would start complaining. Like, the one bad apple spoils the batch became a very big reality to me in literally watching our bottom line change due to the attitude of the people doing the work, and watching us slow down and not hit deadlines because this guy started complaining, so everybody caught an attitude. Then they didn't work at the level that they typically would, because they were mad about something that they didn't even know to be mad about 2 days before, because nobody had ever complained about it. So those became my 5 big things on hiring and keeping people, because especially in the blue collar industry, an interview, you can learn a few things about people, about, hey, do you know what you're talking about, such and such, but until you actually get on the job and see if they can actually do the work, it's hard to determine by a conversation whether they're good or not. Once they're there on site doing work, it's very black and white, cut and dry. Hey, you can do it or you can't. And then the rest of the items fall in close behind it of the work ethic, the honesty, the attitude. So made a lot of mistakes early on in hiring and rectified those. Like I said, we went through a lot of people in a relatively short amount of time. But I think the biggest thing I learned through the whole process is it's easier and cheaper to slow down and do it well with the right people, or to wait on the right people and do it well, than to try to hurry through it with the wrong people and clean it up on the back end. Because we had mistakes that happened that I didn't realize because we had bad people. And when you can't micromanage every person, having people without a good work ethic or honesty on the crew, they can make mistakes that you don't find out about until later, when it's a major leak or someone gets hurt or something like that. And the risk of that and the cost of that and just all the dangers that go there, it's just not worth it. So big lesson learned there. But yeah, that was our hiring and ramping up process. I think the most people we had working on a job at once is about 36. So we're not a massive company. We haven't gone much over that at any point. But the amount of people we went through to find those guys is unbelievable. So thanks for watching. If you got any good hiring stories or things that you learned when you had to hire somebody or let them go even, love to hear about it in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching this episode. Give it a like. Let us know what you thought in the comments down there. Share it if you feel so inclined. If you really like to go to our page under follow, click see first. That way you never miss a video. See it as soon as it comes out. And we'll see you on the next episode.